What's up, guys? It's Cashardio. I am sitting in front of the KTM Duke 790, and today we're asking a pretty awesome question that I get asked all the time about this bike, and that is, can you start on a Duke 790 as your first bike? So the thing about the 790 is that the way KTM markets it and all of its commercials, all the magazines, all the launch parties that you see with the professional riders, they have a bunch of guys doing wheelies and dragging their knees and elbows and chins and whatever else on the racetrack. And they make it look like it's an extremely capable bike that's very aggressive and geared up for very aggressive riding. But I've had this bike for the past week now as I've been testing it, and I've done a full review video on it that I'll put a link up to the top right corner here. You can watch my full review video that's much more detailed, where you see me wheelie this thing and drag some knee on it on the street and all of those things. But I've been learning how this bike works, and I've been asking myself, is this the same bike that KTM has been advertising the way they have? Because this bike is so gentle, so docile, and so approachable for any level of rider. So we don't really need to beat around the bush much. We can kind of just answer the question right away. Is this a good beginner bike? Absolutely yes, and for a few reasons. Let me explain them to you. Number one, the dynamic layout of this bike, how light it is, your riding position, the leverage you have. All of those things make this an extremely easy bike to ride for just about any rider, okay? It's super lightweight, it's very easy to handle. There's nothing about it that makes it feel like it can get away from you. You always feel like you have good control. You always feel like you're in a good position to correct any issue you might get into. The bike and the chassis, the way it all comes together is so forgiving, so that when you're a beginner rider and you're like, you know, lurching on the brakes, or you're tough with the clutch, or you're a little bit abrupt with your inputs, you don't want a motorcycle that's going to make you pay for that. This bike somehow has the softness and the forgivingness that doesn't make you pay for that. It's so easily approachable. So I see all this KTM marketing, and then I actually get on the thing and ride it, and I'm like, is this a different bike? Because this thing is effortless to ride. And as if it weren't effortless enough right there with just the way this thing is built, they've thrown an electronics package on top of it that gives you anti-wheelie mode to stop you from wheeling unintentionally, and it gives you throttle management modes, which means you can basically pick how sensitive and aggressive your throttle is. So those are two reasons why you could buy this as your first bike. But let's talk about why you should, and that's what I just did right there, okay? You could buy it because it's an easy, well-built motorcycle. You could buy it because it's got great electronics, but you should buy it as your first bike because even as you become a more experienced rider, as you grow in your rider development and you want to maybe try and lift the wheel, or you want to lean into a corner harder, this bike has that performance capability that you can pull out of it. There are a lot of other bikes that are on this level of performance that simply don't let you get a nice, easy introduction to it the way this does. They jam that performance down your throat. You know, you get onto an FZ09 and it's jamming that anger down your throat. You can't gently ride it. The thing about this bike is it has all of the capability just like that, but you have to pull it out. They don't make you take it. You pull it out as you have time. So one of the biggest things I hear about is guys are saying, hey, I bought my Yamaha R3 and I had it for 6 months and I was bored and I need to trade up now. And the reason I think this is such a great first bike is because you won't get bored with it for several years. Okay, this has got more than enough performance and more than enough capability to keep it interesting for you. So yes, it's easy enough to approach, but yes, it actually can be a real bike for a long-term type of like ownership period. And case in point on that is I own a KTM Super Duke, right? If you're familiar with my channel, and you should subscribe, by the way, you'll know that I ride my own Super Duke, and I ride that like a hooligan all the time. I've had this 790 for a week, and I've been riding this more than my personal bike because I love how fun it is and how easy it is to ride. So I'm able to do all of the hooligan type stuff that I want to do, you know, when I want to do it, but at the same time, when I'm in town like this, it's gentle and easy, or I can up over this little lip, you know. This bike is that perfect combination of approachable and easy to ride, but when you really want it, when you're going to keep needing more and more performance, it reveals that it has so much more. It simply hasn't jammed down your throat, and that it's been waiting for you to pull out of it.